So since my last big video, which I made with around 11,000 miles on the bike, I've ridden a bit more and done some maintenance. So having just passed 25,000 miles, I wanted to do a little update, let you guys know what I've done maintenance-wise, repair-wise, and with regards to modifications. From the picture of the bike on the left when I first picked it up, and the one on the right from just a week or two ago, not that much has changed, as you can see. Black fenders, front and rear. That brought me back to the original light setup, but it did come with black housing. I've got gold and magnesium wheels, Oxford heated grips, aftermarket mirrors, sort of little lollipop style, gold DID chain to go with the aluminum sprocket that came with the magnesium wheels, and of course there's the luggage rack and top box that I use, top box not pictured. In addition to top box storage, I also got these pair of saddlebags. I just have one attached now. The loops wrap around the tubular frame and holds a decent amount. It's I think 90 bucks for a pair of goat leather saddlebags. They're really great on little road trips. I did change the handlebars to the CB500 F bars, a little lower, fit all the OEM grips and equipment. I did have to adjust the throttle cable a little bit on the other side, but the Oxford heated grips actually fit better, and it's lower. It looks good, it's black. Oh, and with the CB500F internals, because it's a parallel twin, they use heavier weights to dampen vibration. It actually just makes this thing glassy smooth on the highway. Really love how it's made that a little bit more comfortable. And cramp buster, can't forget that. That's pretty much it for mods, so let's talk maintenance. I'm gonna go over the oil, brakes, tires, fluids, valves, and the chain. I also cleaned and replaced the air filter once each. Obviously, follow your owner's manual, and what I did may not be what you need to do. I may have forgotten a few things too, since I'm really just going off the top of my head here. I keep my oil changes as per the manual every 4,000 miles or so after the initial 600 mile service I did. I've been using a synthetic oil, I think for diesel engines, but I'm not going to get into an oil argument, so just use whatever you want. I change the filters every time I change the oil because they're cheap, even though the manual says you can get away with not doing so. I've changed my tires twice. They last about 12,000 miles and could probably go a little longer. I believe the front is in pretty good shape at that point, but I like brand new tires and I want to just do them both at the same time. I think I started with the Dunlops, switched to Bridgestones, and am now on Metzler's, which I like a lot so far. I've had to change the front brake pads twice. You change them around the same time you do the tires because, hey, the wheels are already off and it's pretty easy. You can do this yourself, no problem. Takes, I don't know, 15 minutes a side if you're just being generous. They could probably go a lot longer, but on the front, at least on my bike, the pair of pads on the left wears faster than the pads on the right, and I just do both sets at the same time. I really sprayed down the calipers with a bunch of brake cleaners, so we'll see if that does anything for the third replacement set. It's not a big deal, honestly. It's pretty cheap. The brake lever was feeling a little spongy too, so I replaced the brake fluid. It's a hydraulic as opposed to cable actuated clutch, so it uses brake fluid to compress the clutch cylinder, and I changed that fluid at the same time as the brake fluid because, you know, it's hygroscopic and it absorbs water, and it was about time. In the meantime, a lot of chain grease and accumulated gunk had filled the front sprocket area and was dripping down the center stand. I noticed it, I thought it was like oil or something. It was not, just gunk. So I really got in there and cleaned it out as well. I cleaned out the plastic chain guard. It felt really good to get all that gunk out, but boy was that a nasty job. Kind of comes with the territory of having a chain-driven bike though. I'm pretty bad about cleaning and oiling the chain. Do that every maybe, I don't know, 500 to 1,000 miles if I'm being generous with myself. But the OEM DID chain did last about 24,000 miles with that kind of neglect. And I noticed just a couple minor kinks. Probably could have kept riding on it for a great deal of time, but I wanted to buy a new tool. I bought a Motion Pro chain riveting tool and swapped it out with a sweet gold chain you may have seen earlier. The chain itself is listed as an upgrade to the OEM chain by DID, so maybe it'll last a little longer, who knows. About 130 bucks for the chain and master link, and maybe another 80 for the punch and riveting tool. So I think I still beat out the shop's quotes and came out a little ahead financially, doing it myself. Finally, the one thing I've actually been to the shop for was the valve check. In my manual, I think Hanyu wants me to do that every 8,000 miles, which is insane. From the CB11 forum, I've seen that pretty much universally this is too often, and there are definitely signs if your valves are out of spec. My bike wasn't exhibiting any of those. So around 24,000 miles, I had a shop inspect the valves, and they're still in spec, although they're on the wide side. So I'll have them check again at around 36,000 miles rather, or maybe when I get my new tires again. It's a huge pain in the butt to do the valve check yourself, especially if you have to adjust them. And I don't have a lit garage or a place to put all the hoses and plugs and cables and the fuel tank, etc. So I'm just going to bring it to the shop for that. It's a little expensive. I think I got it done for about $300, but if I had to do adjustment, that's going to be closer to $500, almost all labor. That's about it. Oh, I did do the air filter. I mentioned I got a replacement one from the CB11 forum for like $30, so I figured instead of just cleaning it out like the service manual says, I just replaced it. Did that at about 24,000 miles too. I did a lot of maintenance around then. So to sum up, I've done a few different things. I did the oil changes, I did the brake pads, tires, fluids, valves, chain, and that air filter. Overall, it's been a very simple bike to maintain. It's been incredibly reliable, and I haven't needed to repair anything. Nothing's broken. So, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you found it somewhat helpful. Maybe you're considering a CB1100. Maybe this will help you estimate your ownership costs. So, have a great day.